What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. My name is BJ Matthews, a.k.a. B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe all of our YouTube videos by hitting that notification bell by subscribe button. As well, if you like to donate to the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast, you can do so by hitting that notification bell by subscribe button. And the Cash App, $ BJ Matthews. I will put that into the pinned comments. Let's get it popping. All right, I hope everybody's having a great day, having a blessed day. We got a good topic for you guys today, actually piggybacking off of yesterday's video with one of the players we're going to be talking about, Ja Morant. Ja Morant, the point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, right? Had a sit down with ESPN NBA Countdown host Malika Andrews, okay? I think a couple days ago. Ja Morant believes that the only real competition he has is in the Eastern Conference, which is the Boston Celtics. He has no threat in the West. So I'll repeat. Ja Morant, point guard of the Memphis Grizzlies, states that he has no threat in the West, that his competition is in the East, which is the Boston Celtics, okay? Now, let's break this down. Okay. You guys know how I feel about Ja Morant. Ja Morant, I believe, is an all-star. He's not a superstar. For people who do not agree with that, I really do not care. A superstar, like I said, if you guys don't know my definition of superstar, go back to my video on Jason Tatum I made about a couple weeks ago, and you guys will see what I look at in a superstar. And Ja Morant does not fit that criteria for me, okay? But I'll leave that alone for now. I think he's a human highlight reel. I think Ja Morant is one of those guys that is box office. You want to go see play, but he doesn't have enough credentials and enough accolades to put him in that superstar category. That's essentially what it is, right? In the playoffs especially. We seen him last year in the playoffs. He struggled against the Minnesota Timberwolves. He played 2 good games against the Golden State Warriors before he got hurt. So he hasn't really accomplished anything. He's never made it past the conference finals, which I made a video yesterday. Could he lead the Grizzlies to the conference finals this season, right? But we're going to talk about, again, what he said. He said that the Grizzlies have no threat in the West. Now, if you look at the Grizzlies right now, they're number, I think, 2 in the Western Conference behind the Pelicans. The Western Conference isn't as strong as the East as far as the entire conference, even from the top. The top is not as prevalent, like Milwaukee, Boston, and Cleveland have better records than Phoenix, New Orleans, and Memphis. Right? So the top in the East is actually ironically better than the top in the West. So he's true in that sense. But I'm talking about him saying that there's no competition in the West for him. The Grizzlies, to me, are not a team that should be saying that they have no competition in the West. Everybody's on top of each other right now. If you look at the matchups, the Grizzlies, the teams that they're going to have to deal with, they're going to have to deal with either the Suns, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Clippers, the Trailblazers, the Nuggets. The Nuggets are actually I think they're number 2 in the West. I'm sorry, not the Suns. The Nuggets, the Timberwolves, teams like that are the teams they're gonna have to deal with in the West, right? I get what he's saying. The West is not as strong, but for him to sit up there and act like he is the standard and that there's no competition in the West, I think it's just him being ultra confident, which he's been the last couple seasons, saying certain things, saying things like, he's as good. He'll give it to Michael Jordan, and him having all these celebrations when they win. He's a young player, man. So I'm not at the point where I just Ja Morant. I don't kill him for having this confidence anymore, because I understand what he's doing. He's trying to sit up there and basically have this belief in himself that he is that guy, and what you should have. And what you need to have to be at this level. So I don't fault him for that. My only thing is this with Ja Morant. He has the opportunity this season to take his team to the conference finals. With all this he's talking, he should be able to take his team to the conference finals. With him saying that he has no competition in the West. If he doesn't do that and he gets rolled out in the second round, Ja Morant needs to calm down all that talk, man. Because essentially, like I said, he hasn't done enough in the playoffs to be saying he's has no competition in the West. Hell, even superstars that don't have that, have not said that, like in the Western Conference, who's won stuff. Damian Lillard, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, who just won a championship last year. Kawhi Leonard, like these guys are champions, and they don't even say stuff like that, or MVPs. So I just think it's a little premature for Ja Morant, but I love the confidence from him. I just disagree. With the matchups that the Grizzlies have this year, they're going to have some problems with a number of teams. I think the Clippers are going to be a team they're going to have a problem with because they got ultimate 3D guys, right? I think the Nuggets, they'll be able to compete with the Nuggets because essentially, yes, they're talented, but they don't really have good chemistry with each other. I can just tell that team doesn't really like each other. The Phoenix Suns, I think they're discombobulated. I think, yes, they're a number 4 seed in the West, but I just think they're accident waiting to happen. They're going to collapse again. You got, of course, who else? The Pelicans, who I think they'll beat the Grizzlies in a playoff series. I think the Pelicans have everything they need to beat the Grizzlies. I think they have more depth. I think that Zion's going to show he's a more dominant player than Ja in the playoffs. But we'll see. That's going to be a great matchup they face. The Kings, I think the Kings will be a little bit. I think it'll be a great matchup between De'Aaron Fox and Ja Morant. But I think the Kings, this is their first playoff appearance. I think that them as a team, they'll probably lose that series. Utah, I think the Grizzlies will beat the Utah Jazz because they don't have a superstar or an all-star at Ja's level. But you never know because the Jazz has experience as a team. Who else? The Blazers. I think their team is not as deep as the Grizzlies or as well coached. I like Chauncey Billups. This is his first season. They're going to have to show me. But I think Dame, being the guy he is, he's going to be up for that matchup with Ja Morant. So there's a lot of teams in the West, to me, that's going to give the Grizzlies a run for their money. So for Ja to sit up there and say, well, he has no competition in the West, it's just, again, another testimony to like why people say he talks too much. Okay? But that's all I got to say about that. Pull up, see, pull up, chair, pull up. Peace. I ain't like swim.